Not so breaking news. Elon Musk takes a large stake in Twitter stock. There are other recent developments in Mr. Musk's Twitter investment, but in this video, we will just take a look at the unusual options flow that front-ran the news. Before we get started, disclaimer. The Unusual Whales options flow tool shows completed options trades. Nothing on the Unusual Whales platform is a buy or sell signal. The initial news about Elon's position broke in the pre-market Monday. There was significant options activity last week, which lots of traders picked up on. Rolling the tape from my Monday afternoon Twitch stream, in which I break down the timeline of events. Twitter, up, obviously you can see 28%. Elon has a 10%, 11, whatever the number is. He has some kind of stake in it, which he picked up, which was revealed in SEC filings from this morning. So obviously the stock ripped. Did someone know? Well, let's see. So I'm just going to rewind to my Twitter to Thursday. So March 31st, Thursday. What time was this at? This was at 3:40 p.m. Eastern. So about 20 minutes before the close. I start to notice, a little bit late, I guess, at 3:22, there's like some massive volume starting to come in into these Twitter 43 strike calls, right? So we'll just pull these up real quick. Operation 4329. These are the ones that like everyone's been talking about on Twitter. So April 29th, 43. So they're currently going for about 875, a high of 965. So we'll just say they're $9 right now, just a round. So we'll say they're $9 right now. Initially picked up at $1.15. So this was at 320, give or take. Here's 15 minutes of flow. In 15 minutes from 337 to 322, see that the volume increased substantially, about 8,000 contracts in this 15-minute window right before the close, which is interesting. Other image here. So the tweet says Twitter has a surge of options activity just now. The 43 strike calls expiring April 29th in particular. So here is what that contract looked like right here. So as I mentioned, nothing going on at the beginning of the day. Then boom, stuff just coming in at the close. Here's the overall Twitter options activity. So this is the contract. This is the 43 strike calls. This is Twitter itself. So you can see just kind of run-of-the-mill options activity, and at the end of the day, boom, boom, right? So it's interesting, right? What's going on here? Let's keep diving in. This was at, what time was this? This was at 3:40. And then at 3:49, so 9 minutes later, I said there's more volume coming in. So I've updated it. So now there's 15,500 volume from, from 320. So we'll say there's about 3,000 volume from 320 to 350. There's another 12,000 volume coming in. So a crap ton of volume coming out of nowhere. And possibly the icing on the cake right here, right before the close, 353. More activity. At 352, here comes someone else and they're buying. So remember, the contracts we initially saw them being picked up for like $1.17 or so. So this whale, whoever this is, 530 grand, around 4,000 contracts coming in above the ask. So that, I called it out, half mil whale right there. So we don't know why they're doing what they're doing. We can just see it and try to position ourselves to best benefit, I guess. So like we said, initially picked up for like 115 or so, and they are currently going for, we rounded up to 9. So that's like an absolutely insane gain. So like what is it? Like what do you see? What are some of the characteristics that we're seeing in this particular trade? All right, that concludes the clip from the Twitch stream. Before we discuss further, I want to re-emphasize that nothing in this video is financial advice. These are merely guidelines that can help you identify unusual options activity. The first indicator of unusual options activity is a high volume to open interest ratio on a particular contract. You can see that the Twitter 43 strike calls entered the day at 398 open interest and ended the day with over 21,000 contracts traded. What does this tell us? Keep in mind that all of the information we are going to discuss is tied together. So, we know that there is 21,000 volume to 398 open interest. Let's take a look at the nature of the volume. The highlighted portion of the graphic can provide you with a rapid bird's eye view of the flow. We see big volume coming in on these contracts, primarily on the ask side. You can see this call activity reflected in the overall Twitter options trading volume. However, it is best viewed directly in the feed. You can see the skew towards ask side activity. This includes the big $530,000 whale that entered on the ask side shortly before the close. Coupled with the low open interest, this would heavily imply that a significant portion of the volume was from call buyers buying to open these contracts and favoring the ask price. Also of note is the rise in the implied volatility. You can see how the rise in IV, even without any significant movement in the underlying share price, is juicing the premium on the contracts. So, we've established a few things thus far. There is low open interest on the contract, there is significant volume on the contract, the volume occurred very quickly in the span of an hour or so, the volume was primarily on the ask side, suggesting eager call buyers, IV increased, resulting in a higher contract premium. So now back to the 21,000 volume. Of the 21,000 contracts traded, over 20,000 of them were carried over into the next day. Since we previously established that most of the volume was due to call buyers opening contracts, this lines up perfectly with our analysis that there was a frenzy of call buying taking place. A high change in open interest can be another indicator of unusual options activity. However, it is important to know how that open interest came to be. As I've demonstrated with Twitter here, we know that the open interest increase is due to call buyers from the day prior. If you don't know how the volume got there, knowing about a large change in open interest serves you no good. If you made it this far, please hit the like button. It really helps out the channel. During the month of April, you can use coupon code YouTube10 at checkout for 10% off any subscription at www.unusualwhales.com.